Already week 3. So at this point, it seems like a majority of you have gotten a great start. It is Friday morning, my normal process, which is recording your attendance video for the upcoming week, which is week 3, and I graded last night. So hopefully you're also getting used to this process of me grading, because here's the deal. If you didn't hear me say it, I think it's worth repeating, right? Is that normal due dates, Monday night and Thursday night, right? Once I wake up on those next day, that morning, when I grade, as long as the work's there, it is on time. Okay. But once I grade, anything submitted after that time is late and then reduced in points. But as I've heard students, and I often say, some points are better than none. So just know that that is the process. And the other thing is that I grade typically every morning. So there is a huge benefit to working ahead. And what's cool is that many of you are. Some of you are working right at the due date. And the thing I would say to you is this, is that having a discipline, and you're going to see in the attendance post, I'm going to add a video, not required to watch, one that caught my attention greatly over the holiday, because it's something I'm really working on, which is my own discipline. And I love it because it's this YouTuber. She's pretty, and when we talk about YouTubers, these are people that have videos that get a large audience. They are making some kind of money through YouTube, most likely, or enhancing their careers. But she had this video that come up on my feed about discipline is freedom, or discipline equals freedom. And I have found that to be really true. And I'm going to recommend for you to consider this concept, because one of the things I really value is my time. And so if I focus on the things I know I need to focus on, first, I'm going to feel accomplished. Second, I can then enjoy my time, my own personal time, much more, because I have gotten those things done. Because and maybe this doesn't happen to you, is that without getting those things done, they kind of hang out in my head and in my psyche a little bit. And I don't like it. And I like to have my work done. And I like to, because once I have my work done, then I'm probably working on, hopefully, either looking at what's coming at you all, so I can think about how I do content. Now, for this class, you're actually consuming a bit of content I've already done. But if you're taking, which some of you are, there are a group of you that are also taking my 93 JavaScript class, and I hope to see all of you in that class in the future. But let's come back to this one. So the other thing I wanted to say was about last night. I read, and I know I had a couple of comments about the practical web guide, and how much content it was. And it's true, it is a lot of content. And it's a good introduction to kind of the landscape, which is what we're trying to give you here, right? It's like, and this class is intended to introduce you to some of these concepts from a skills perspective, but then from just you understanding what the landscape is part of the goal. So that video is right in line with that. And yes, it is a little longer. So the other thing is, this morning I was reading some of your ideas for what your project 0 for this class will be. And it's fun. Some of you are having a hard time thinking about that concept. And some of you are like, you have so many ideas, you don't know where to start. This is very common. And the thing I would tell you is, keep in mind this. This project 0 is really for just a static site, which just means it's information. It's not intended for you to build an interaction. But one of the important things, matter of fact, another YouTuber I watched was talking about the 5 most important projects to build to help you get a job. And one of those is a portfolio site. So that's always, if you can't come up with something, the beginning of a portfolio site, or at least thinking about that. So just know that if you're taking 93 now in 93, because we're learning JavaScript, you're going to learn how to handle that user interaction, at least the beginning of it. And then if you're taking my 94 class, you're going to learn Node, which is on the back end, and you're going to learn ultimately how to write your own API, which is one of the terms that was introduced, right? So there's a progression naturally. All right. So the other, let's see, have I talked about that? Yeah. And so just in general, like, let's look at next week. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down here. Matter of fact, one of the things I do is I scroll once we're past something, like I just scroll it up so that then I don't have to look at it like it's done, but I can always go back and refresh myself if I need. So here we are into week 3. And that video I was talking about is in here, but we'll come back to that in a minute. So this week we move from note taking to actually coding, which I think is really, I think there's a benefit. Let me just say this, to taking notes, right? And in this case, you're going to code along, and I give you like how I want it done. So make sure you follow that. And by the way, in general, and I want you to get this, like in general, in your file names and in your folder names. Now, I didn't say anything on the repos, but even those, you really should use all lowercase, right? Because the uppercase thing is, it's cleaner. No spaces, lowercase, dashes if you want, underscores, but in general. So when I ask for a file name or a folder name, just follow that naming convention that I've given. So if I've done all lowercase, you do all lowercase. And I can work on consistency too. So the thing I'd like to say here is that, and I looked at this video this morning because I was like, oh yeah, and I love this guy. He's one of my favorite. But look at this. This is from 2017. I don't like having videos this old, but this beginning HTML has not changed that much. And he does a really nice job. And you only have to, for this week, go up to, and you're going to do it. We're going to do it over both days. So again, the video will talk more about this, but I just want you to know, I do realize these are a little bit older, but they're kind of what I would consider the classic text. So just know that that's true. Okay. And like this week we do HTML, next week we do CSS. But remember also, right? So some of you have already started on Todd's class, and he only focuses on HTML and CSS, right? So that's really what you're learning over there. So we just give you that touch introduction to it. And your editor, and we're now that you have the GitHub experience of working on the web, now we're going to help you walk through installing it locally and running the command line, which is an important part of getting introduced. This industry this is just so prevalent, and understanding how to use command line and understanding how to use Git couldn't be more important. So here's the deal. At the end of the week, we're going to clone your repos locally. And then starting next week, you only are going to work locally. And you're going to hear me say this in the video, so I don't mind duplicating it. Once you clone your GitHub repo that's out on GitHub, out on the web, and you clone it locally, then there's a relationship between what's local and what's on the web. And the source should only be what's local is what you change. After you clone, now we're not cloning until the end of the week, so just write FYI, only once we clone, only work locally. Do not work out on the web. So know that transition is coming at you. It's an important one. Now, I actually do give you a video that shows if you do change the web, how you fix it, because this is also a common thing. We call this being able to resolve conflicts, because there's going to be a conflict between what's local and what's out on the web vis-a-vis GitHub. Okay. All right. So it's a good week. I'm going to actually go ahead and release week 4 because, again, I encourage students to work ahead whenever possible. So I hope you have a wonderful week. And let me just show you what I want in your reply. You can reply to any questions you have about content I've put here. So my video will go here, and then underneath it is the video I was referring to previously. Now, you don't have to watch this. You don't, if you want to watch part of it. I think the first half of this is really good. The second half is good too, because she actually plays and it's awesome and she's great. So I just think, if you want to watch this and reply, I appreciate that, because then other students may get the benefit of your review of that. So, do whichever part of that you want, but either reply with a question, like something about Project Zero, right? Now, it does count for 25% of this class, so it does count for a big part. The reason I call it zero is that when you get into JavaScript, it's what we call zero indexed. So that the first entry in an array, something you'll learn about later, has got an index of 0. So, and there's other areas in computers where we often start with 0 instead of 1 when we're looking at things. So 0 indexed is a fairly common thing. And anyway, have a wonderful weekend coming up, right? So it is kind of foggy today in Fresno, and I kind of like it. The lighting is always better when it's a little foggy for me. So I enjoy that. Anyway, peace out. Have a great one. Talk to you soon.